Hello and welcome back to the Fierce Kitten Studio channel. So there was a good point that was brought up in one of my prior videos talking about acrylic templates. The video talked about acrylic templates for bag making and mostly just talked about pre-made acrylic templates that were cut, man that's loud, with a laser cutter. So sure, if you want to go out and buy like a $3,000 laser cutting machine, probably Glowforge brand, and then invest in all of the acrylic that goes with it, go for it. You can totally do that. Or you can do what I suggested in the video, which is go buy from a reputable dealer that makes bag patterns with acrylic templates like this. So that's not in everybody's budget. Not everybody can throw down somewhere between $35 and $85 for an acrylic template that has all the whiz-bang features and everything. So there's a budget solution, which admittedly I glossed over in that video. And I appreciate the commenter who kind of pointed that out. So the idea is basically to buy some really cheap placemats. Oh, that sounds really cool. Anyway, you can purchase these cheap placemats from Dollar Tree if you want to go to a Dollar Tree right now. And I'll leave a link below. I bought these off of Amazon. They're semi-translucent and very flexible. So you'll be able to cut them on your own. Please not with your fabric scissors though, and basically be able to trace over the pattern that you want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I do it, because not every pattern maker wants to work with somebody like Tops and Bobbins to have their patterns turned into acrylic templates for purchase. You know, all of my patterns are available there, but you know, it does take a while, right? It takes a while, and business is crazy right now. So if you want, you can just do it on your own. It's a total cost-saving solution. I don't know how much I spent on these, actually. I think it was definitely less than $10. And this is enough to trace a pattern. So if you're okay with that, you can. The one thing I will say is if you can cut it with your scissors, that means you're going to cut it with your rotary blade. So be prepared to want to use these for tracing your pattern and not actually going around with the rotary blade like I do with the acrylic templates, because these are not going to be as durable. So let's hop into showing you how I do it. Okay, you're going to get your scissors. These are not fabric cutting scissors. These used to be, and I retired them. These are old Gingers. And your placemats. Again, I bought these off of Amazon, but you can get them from like Dollar Tree. A lot of people will say that in fabric groups and such, and sewing groups, is just to go to Dollar Tree. I have not used these. The last time I did something, I did it with something from IKEA, which I deeply regret. So they were not good. They were very thick. These are very thin. You can see, of course, the funny noise. And these, which of course I'll link at the bottom, have a film on top of them that you'll want to peel off. Because if you trace and draw on the film and then it peels off, well, that's just not good. And you can see it's very transparent. So then you're going to get the fabric piece, or rather the pattern piece that you want. Now, I am going to be tracing a pattern by another company today, because I just prefer a non-drop-in approach. I will link to Deedlebug's pattern. I'm only going to trace this one piece because I don't want to offend. That would never be something I would want to do. So let's see here. Actually, you know what I'll do is I'll just take this bottom half, because I cut this piece based on putting a zipper pocket on the front. It's a wonderful pattern, by the way, so highly recommend. And it's the Deedlebug Mini Backpack, and she's a very good designer. Love her to pieces. So I place the pattern piece underneath the placemat, and just to make sure things are kind of held well. Now, for pattern weights, I just use washers. So I just grab a bunch of washers and plop them down in the spots. It's just to hold everything down so it won't shift, because I'm going to be tracing this. And then I grab a Sharpie marker. And I take that Sharpie marker and I just very carefully trace the lines. If you want, you can actually grab, I do have just a ruler for some of those straight sides to kind of ensure that what gets traced is going to be straight. And you'll probably want to go over it a couple of times, like I'm doing here with the Sharpie, because it does have a tendency to want to just kind of wipe away initially. But this could also be the world's oldest Sharpie. Who knows? Continue tracing. I'm being a little lax about my tracing. But all that matters is that I will have something slightly more durable than the paper. I won't lose the pattern modifications that I've made. And I can trace it really well. I'll just go over the lines again. I swear I'm going to end up with Sharpie all over my wrist. But see, the thing is, even if the Deedlebug pattern was available on the Tops and Bobbins site, I have modified the pattern to suit my design needs and the needs of my customers. And so it wouldn't matter anyway. So I'd still have to trace my own. This is also great if you want to make your own patterns, which I still plan to do a video on at some point to show people how I make them, because I don't do anything fancy. I really don't. I think walking people through that will make things easier for them. Now, I like to do fussy cut. As you can tell, I actually printed this portion and then mirrored it and printed again, and taped them together. And so I like to make sure that my patterns are nice. So I will put that middle line down here so that when I place this clear template over the fabric, I can actually see like how things are going to be laid out and what's going to be centered and make good composition. And then of course I want to name this main panel, and then to exterior to lining for, I'll just put SF101. It's easier than writing woven interfacing, and to foam. Now technically I don't need that for this bottom portion, but I'm just saying, like, I transfer the information and then also the pattern name. And it's the mini. I think that's how she spells it. Oh, she doesn't have the name on it. Okay. But it is the mini backpack. And then I put the pattern piece on. But again, like I said, this is the front panel that I split in half specifically so that I could make the zippered portion on the front. Because I don't want to do the 3D pockets. I actually don't like the 3D pockets on these. But that's not because of her instructions, just to throw that out there. Okay, so then after I've traced it and everything is like, the Sharpie is going to dry pretty much right away considering the type of ink that it is, but just in case, just kind of wheel around in there. Then I'm going to cut it out. And just to make things easier, I'm going to start from the bottom so I can cut that away. Just take those scissors, and if you want, you can use a cheaper pair of scissors. The retired fabric scissors still cut, they just don't cut fabric very well. So that's why I'm using these instead. And any kind of inaccuracies that you're going to get in the cutting isn't going to really matter at this stage. All that matters is that the shape is about right. The only thing I would fuss over is if you were trying to trace for talking and concentrating is so hard. If you were doing something like a wallet, had extremely precise measurements, like the Kane wallet, that might be a little difficult. Because that one's like, if you breathe in the wrong direction by 1/8 of an inch, suddenly cards don't fit. Yep. That away. continue around. Again, like this thinner material is great. I had a hard time with the thicker ones from IKEA, but these work fantastically. Do not use your rotary blade, by the way. I think that goes without saying, but just in case somebody is listening and thinking, oh, clever girl, I could use the rotary blade. Don't. It'll fall apart. Okay, so there's your one piece that you've done. And now when you place this on top of fabric, if I can get some fabric real quick, just to show you guys. Let me see if I can find a good contrasty one that I have. Here we go. It's a very contrasty, obnoxiously loud fabric, sorry. All right, now when you place the pattern down, you'll be able to very easily trace over it and mark where you want to go. But again, like I said, if you can cut this with scissors, that means that your rotary blade will cut into it. So you're probably going to want to avoid using the rotary blade with these kinds, as opposed to the acrylic patterns, which are a lot thicker and more durable. So be prepared to trace, to go in there. I actually use gel pens for a lot of stuff, but I trace from behind. If you're trying to fussy cut something or get a design just right, then definitely look into chalk or, let's see, these disappearing ink pens. So these are the ones that are from Dritz. I do not use Frixion because Frixion shows up again if you iron it. Really only a problem for people who make clothing, but that's an option. Pencils work, you know, things like that. Don't use an Expo marker. Definitely don't use a Sharpie. It bleeds. So, anywho, there you go. Thank you very much. I really hope that helped clear up the previous video where I kind of just said, and buy these things and trace things and buy. Because oftentimes I forget that things aren't as self-explanatory as I think they are. So these are great, and this is awesome as a more economical solution for people who don't want to go buy into the more professionally produced acrylic templates. But again, look in the not the panels, but the section below the video. I'll have the link to where I bought these on Amazon, and the link to the Doodlebug pattern, by the way. So thank you very much for paying attention. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel. And again, this video came from somebody making a comment asking a question on clarification. So if you have any suggestions for things you'd like to see me go over, please don't hesitate. Reach out. It's great. I love to get feedback like that. Thank you. That's